For years, Arsenal have been the official banter club of the Premier League. It has been cool and acceptable to disrespect and mock them openly, simply because they have struggled to win big trophies. Well, those days are over now. The team has finally done it. They have finally gotten over the line, so the banter era is now officially over. The jokes and mockery can stop now. Arsenal are now Premier League champions, so it is now their turn to laugh. And we have sort of made a compilation of people who deserve to be laughed at by the Arsenal players, staff, and of course, the fans. These are 7 times Arsenal and Arteta were disrespected openly.
Hey fam, this is your chance to build the jersey collection you've been waiting for. The Goal 90 bundle deal is live. Buy 2 jerseys and get 10% off. Buy 3 and get 15% off. Buy 4 and get a massive 25% off. Club kits, country kits, retro classics, pick your favourites and save big. And yes, every order comes with free worldwide shipping. The deal runs only until the end of May. Goal 90 bundle deal. Buy more, save more. Shop now at Goal 90 Shop.
We'll start with that one fan. Yeah, you know who we're talking about here, the one with the bottle. This Manchester City fan said himself that he and his son were generously given a bottle of water by the Arsenal staff some time ago, and he turned around to use that to mock them. After Man City scored the winner against Arsenal in that game at the Etihad, this fan took out his bottle and pretended to be taking a drink from it. The cameras caught it and it went absolutely viral in no time. The message was clear. He was trying to suggest that Arsenal had just bottled the league title because, despite having been at the top of the table for 200 days of the season at that time, because of that result, the league was now in City's hands. Well, guess what? Since that game, Arsenal have not dropped a single point in the league, nor have they even conceded a goal. Meanwhile, City dropped 4 points, pretty much crowning Arsenal champions. In the end, City turned out to be the bottlers and, well, trust the Arsenal players to address that disrespect. Gabriel, Odegaard, Hincapié and Eze, among others, have in their own way already hit back at that particular fan for his open disrespect of Arsenal just a few weeks ago. But that dude is not even the only fan who has openly disrespected Arsenal. When Liverpool fans did it last year, they targeted Arteta in particular. As you know, the Premier League title race last season involved Arsenal and Liverpool, and the Reds beat the Gunners to it. But well, it wasn't enough for some Liverpool fans to just win the league. They also felt it necessary to take a jab at Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, and boy, was it a low blow. When these two went up against each other at Anfield, there were goals and fireworks. The game ended in a 2-2 draw, and this very entertaining game pretty much put an end to the title race. But in the stands, a different story was being written. At that point, the Merseyside club was already pretty sure to become English champions, so some Liverpool fans unveiled a banner which suggested that Mikel Arteta is always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Obviously, that banner was a jab at how often Arteta and Arsenal had finished second in the league without actually winning it. And don't get us wrong here, banter is always acceptable in football, but that felt like it crossed a line from jokes to outright disrespect. Well, look how the tides have turned now, right? Arteta and Arsenal are now the brides, and Liverpool are not even on the bridal train this time around. And could we talk about fans disrespecting Arsenal without mentioning that one Spurs fan, Expressions? He is one of the biggest Arsenal haters on social media, and he surely has a way with words. Being a Spurs fan, it's surely no surprise that he has often had a lot to say about Arsenal, but in 2024, he teamed up with KG and took the disrespect to the next level. This time around, they didn't just say something or do something, they made a whole diss track mocking Arsenal for missing out on titles again back in 2024. And to make things even worse, they even went and shot the video for the song right in front of the Emirates. It was absolutely crazy and is still one of the highest forms of disrespect. And that video really peaked last year when Spurs broke their own trophy drought by winning the Europa League, while Arsenal finished trophyless once again. Well, how the tables have turned now, right? Now, Spurs are fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table, while Arsenal have been crowned champions of the Premier League. But interestingly, Arteta has not only been disrespected by rival fans, he has also been disrespected by some of his own supporters. No jokes! For those who watch AFTV, you must be really familiar with this dude named Yardman, who is famously not a very big supporter of Mikel Arteta.
What the Mikel Arteta win over Unai Emery?
Listen, let me tell you.
No, man!
In fact, as far as he's concerned, Unai Emery is a better manager than Arteta, and for him, it's a no-brainer. This is an opinion he holds and openly defends every time. Well, we'd love to see if his tune has changed now. Another Arsenal supporter who has openly disrespected Arteta multiple times is Lee Gunner. He is one of the most popular Arsenal fans on the internet, and he has famously had a whole lot to say about Mikel Arteta through the years. He has lambasted him online so many times and questioned almost every decision he has made. Lee often compares Arteta with a lot of other coaches, and each time they would win a trophy, he would ask what phase that coach was in, referencing some years back when Mikel Arteta's tenure at Arsenal was broken down into phases. We saw tweets like, "What phase is Eddie Howe in? What phase is Vincent Kompany in? What phase is Xabi Alonso in? What phase is Xavi in? What phase is Oliver Glasner in?" He was obviously referencing other young managers who were hired by their clubs after Arsenal hired Arteta, but won stuff before he did. And this trend was super interesting because Arteta actually won something before all of them with his FA Cup success back in 2020, but it was all conveniently ignored. Anyway, when Arsenal were finally confirmed Premier League champions following Man City's draw away at Bournemouth, he ironically tweeted, "What phase is Mikel Arteta in?" And of course, there were fans who reacted very strongly to that, considering how vocal he had been in his disrespect and harsh criticisms for the manager over the years. Some others did see the fun in it though, but this video is not just about fans. Even professionals have disrespected Arteta openly. We're sure that Arsenal fans will never forget that statement Erling Haaland made to Arteta after a Premier League meeting between Arsenal and Manchester City. What's interesting is that Manchester City didn't even win that game. John Stones snatched a late equaliser, which meant that they left with a point in that game at the Etihad, and they were so excited about it that they celebrated so wildly. Then after the game, Haaland tapped Arteta on the shoulder and told him to stay humble, eh? Yeah, that was certainly very disrespectful. Gabriel Jesus confronted him about it right there and then, and Haaland disrespected him too. In almost the same breath, Haaland looked at Mars Lewis Skelly and asked, "Who the fuck are you?" which was what led to the young left-back pulling out Haaland's celebration when he scored against City the following season. Anyway, Haaland speaking to Arteta in that way was certainly very disrespectful, and we all knew that it was because Arsenal had not won the league yet. Well, now that they have won it, you really cannot blame the fans and even players for hitting back at the Norwegian. It is now his turn to stay humble. Finally, Patrice Evra has also been out in public disrespecting Arsenal, which is not very surprising for a former Man United player and a vocal fan. But perhaps the most disrespectful thing he has ever said was that watching Arsenal is like watching Netflix. You always wait for the next season.
Watching Arsenal is watching Netflix, you always wait for the next season.
And he went on to say that that's how it's always going to be. Well, would you look at it now? The Gunners have now won the Premier League and no longer have to wait for next season. Meanwhile, Manchester United have not won it in over a decade now, making them the team with the second longest league drought and the longest trophy drought out of the big 6 clubs in England. An honourable mention is that one West Ham fan on Twitter who posted a video of Declan Rice lifting the Europa Conference League title with West Ham and declaring it the last trophy the player will win in his professional career. The tweet has since gone viral and it has been a lot of people's favourite way of mocking the Arsenal midfielder. Since then, he and many other fans had returned to that tweet to have a good laugh every time Arsenal and Rice failed to win a trophy. Well, it appears that Rice is now having the last laugh because Arsenal are now Premier League champions while West Ham seem destined for relegation to the Championship. Anyway, it is now time to hear from you guys. Are there more times that rivals, fans, players, journalists, or even Arsenal supporters have openly disrespected Arsenal or Mikel Arteta? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye!